Hey, everybody, and welcome to the HERstory Collaborative. My name is Jen Buck, and I'm your host here in the collab. Now, you know, if you've been tuning in, that I am all about advocating, activating, and amplifying high-performing women. And this week, I have someone who I absolutely adore. I met her on Instagram, and she has quickly become one of my favorite people because she is always giving. She is always connecting. She is all about collaborating. And I appreciate that so much. In a world that has always sort of valued competition, Lilian has always shown up as a collaborator, and I love that about her. So let me tell you about Lilian Sue. She's a longtime PR coach and publicist dedicated to empowering creative entrepreneurs to gain confidence, to master PR strategies, and launch successful campaigns to reach their goals. Through her coaching and campaign services and her brand new course, The Attraction Blueprint, her goal is to help authors, filmmakers, and other entrepreneurs fulfill their potential using the right tools, resources, and knowledge. She believes that inside every creative, there is the potential and the ability to become a sought-after global industry leader and to achieve their goals of becoming world-renowned, best-selling authors and filmmakers. Her ultimate goal is to help as many creative entrepreneurs find and fulfill their greatest potential. Holy moly, you are such a rock star. Welcome to the collab, Lilian.
Thank you, Jen. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
I just love that I'm connected to you because I learn every single day from your posts. Everything you put out is about value, value, value. And I can totally tell that you love what you do. So you've got to tell people what you've got going on.
Well, right now, as you mentioned, I just launched my new course, The Attraction Blueprint, along with a companion masterclass known as the Positioning Game Plan. So anybody who signs up for my In Retrospect Marketing Academy can sign up first for the Positioning Game Plan to learn more about how to position their brand and their projects properly. And then the Attraction Blueprint is the next step to help them create a successful PR strategy. And I do that by leading them through every single building block of building a successful PR strategy step by step, with everything from in-depth video slideshows to templates. And they can also book personalized coaching calls with me. Mm-hmm. So if they get stuck on something, or maybe they're having some mindset blocks about, this is too hard, or I'm having trouble brainstorming, I'm there for them every single step of the way. Very cool. To really provide that personalized guidance.
Very cool. And I come from the world of always seeing PR as something that was done by someone else, right? So I spent time, I've always been a professional speaker throughout my entire career, whether I was working for a company or working independently. And then I got into TV and radio. And so it was always sort of drilled into us that you have to have someone else, an agency, who is in control of your PR strategy. And of course, that costs money, and you have to have the right in, and you're competing against these huge global brands. So it really does feel like you're onto something new with what you're doing by teaching people to do it themselves.
One of the reasons why I decided to add that to my product suite is two reasons, really. I started PR because a lot of people would come to me and ask for it. At that time, I was just doing copywriting and social media, and they would come to me and ask, do you offer PR campaigns and PR strategy as well? And I got tired of telling people no.
Yeah.
And then the more that I got into publicity and running great PR campaigns for amazing filmmakers, and I've done it for people in tech and food and beverage as well. Yeah. The other part that started to come up was, oh, I'd love to take you on to help me do a campaign, but I can't afford it. Mm. But they were thinking about, what can PR do to help me? How can I use it to my advantage? And I was thinking to myself, I want to address that pain point, that affordability pain point for creative entrepreneurs who want that help, who want to achieve their goals, but can't really afford to bring somebody on. But I knew there was a lot of PR courses out there already. What was missing was that personalized coaching element.
Right.
How much more of an impact can I make by having, like, in addition to my course, I also offer, individual coaching sessions, and I have a full-on coaching program as well,
Yeah.
to literally work with these people on an individual one-on-one basis to go, okay, where are you? Where do you want to go? How are you prepared to get there in terms of the time and the energy that you want to spend? And also, where's your mindset at?
Yeah.
Because the thing that I've also noticed in all my years of doing PR is that expectations are a very, very important thing. And a lot of times what happens is you have clients, you have entrepreneurs whose expectations are not matched up with the reality of what it takes to run a campaign. So how do you go about fixing that? How do you bridge that gap? And for me, that's what PR coaching does. And that's why I decided to offer that as part of my services and as part of my course, because people can often look at a campaign and they get discouraged if they don't get results.
Mm-hmm.
They think, or they feel like it should be instant gratification, that they really want to, starting right out of the gate. It's like, oh, I want the Tonight Show, or oh, I want to be featured in The Guardian. And it's a matter of, if no one knows who you are, you have to be willing to spend the time and energy to build up a strategy that's going to position you to get those higher profile media features. You can't go from 0 to 60. And a lot of what I do in the content that I put out in my coaching sessions is all about correcting those misconceptions and asking people, if you're going to do this, are you willing to have that patience? Are you willing to focus on how to diversify the ways you can use PR to grow? That it's not just about landing a piece in The Guardian. It's not just about being featured, on the Tonight Show, or being interviewed back in the day on Oprah Winfrey, right? So everything that I do always comes back to mindset and how that plays into achieving your goals, planning your strategy, figuring out the people that you want to get in contact with in order to get those interviews, those reviews, that event attendance. Everything always comes back to mindset.
Yeah. What do you think the big mistakes are? Because I can tell you, for me, I always lived from a place of, if I just do great work, if I show up every day and give 100%, and I'm always good to everybody I meet, I'm a person of honor and integrity, then all the success will come. That was my mindset. And then social media hit, and all of that goes out the window, right? Because they don't come just because you have good content necessarily. There is strategy behind it. So what are some of the mistakes that you think this sort of new world of media and social media and promotion, what do you think that women tend to sort of stumble on consistently with all of these new media options?
I see a lot of downplaying of their own accomplishments. As you know, a lot of women are, we're taught to be humble. We're taught to stay in the background. We're taught that, let your work speak for itself. You don't have to be in front of the camera to make an impact. So there's a lot of that downplaying of their own accomplishments and what they've achieved. So as a result of that, what happens is a lot of mispositioning. Because if in the media, what I see a lot of mistakes being done is when someone tries to manage their own PR strategy and they're not really clear on what their goals are or how to do it properly. They're coming at it from a standpoint of, I'm pitching you this because it's what I want to hear.
Right.
No. Your mindset needs to be focused on, what is the media focused on right now? How can I make that story angle, approachable to them? And also, what is it that their audiences would want to learn or want to know? A lot of times that mispositioning also collides directly with timing. With all the different media outlets out there, and with the proliferation of so many more blogs and podcasts and everything, I know it can get really hard to really sit down and do your research on what did they actually cover? What are they talking about? because I've always said that if they featured someone very similar to what it is that you do within the last 3 weeks, chances are they're not going to take you on right now.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is also having patience and diversification and consistency. So patience when it comes to going after those opportunities and getting opportunities secured.
Yeah.
Because everyone's schedule is different. And in the proliferation of so much media, there's podcasters and blogs and reporters that are still getting 100 pitches a day.
Wow.
And in today's industry, the number of people available to cover all of that has shrunk. So what you're seeing is maybe 1 or 2 people doing the work of 6 in a newsroom previously. So you need to allow time and patience for that. When it comes to consistency, consistently looking at other ways that you can diversify your strategy and pitch in different areas. I know that a lot of the expectation is that, oh, I want to reach the high profile media outlets. Well, as I said, you need to work your way up to that. So who else out there is focusing on supporting what you do, what somebody like you does,
right,
and has covered your subject matter that you would be able to, talk to their audiences? Never turn down an opportunity because it's not high profile, because just like every other industry, there are tiers in the media, right? So there are the podcasts that are just starting out, but then there's podcasts that have healthy, thousands of listeners. May not be Joe Rogan or Brené Brown, but there's still a lot of people listening to it. So you shouldn't be discounting that, right? So to consistently looking at those new opportunities, and then diversification. What else can you be doing? Are there events that you maybe could speak at? Are there opportunities to do live Q&As with other industry experts? Is there an opportunity for you to do thought leadership, write for certain blogs and certain websites? I think when it comes to PR, a lot of times there's tunnel vision when it comes to their expectations about where they want to land and what that end result should be. And at the end of the day, even if you do land that high profile spot, if you don't promote it, if they don't promote it, it's worse than if you never did it at all. Right. So it's a case of 3 things. It's about patience, it's about diversification, and it's about consistency, and even just being realistic about where you are, where you want to go, and how long that's going to take you.
Right. And I think too, with new media, it really is about accepting the reality that if you don't get the eyeballs or the ears on your project, your mission, your org, your service, you're not going to move the needle. And you're going to be literally spitting into a fan, right? Because if, like you said, not getting the media attention is just as bad as not doing the actual project, because we need new media. And when I say media, new media, I'm not just talking about commercials, although that's a possibility, right? I'm not just talking about television spots, although again, that's a great possibility. It's about every single step within that new media cycle. And it might be about how you're being acknowledged on social media. It might be about how many clicks or hits your blog is getting, or who is allowing you on as a guest. And I think that's an important piece here, because if you don't start stepping into this world, you're not going to get the momentum that's needed in today's here today, gone tomorrow kind of like, oh, let me say it this way. We don't have the tolerance, or we don't have the patience for things that are not of this minute, right now, current today. And we're going to miss that window. Would you agree with that?
I definitely would agree with that, because it comes by so quickly. And that's the other important point about promoting it. what I try to encourage my clients to do is always repurpose that piece of press coverage, because in a lot of ways, a lot of that great content out there is evergreen as well. So it's not related to, a certain date or a certain period of time, or that it's outdated if you did an interview from a year ago. But
Right.
sometimes in consistently promoting that, what you're doing is you're always reaching new audiences, because in addition to having short attention spans these days, audiences absorb information very differently. That's something that I learned very early on. There's people that would rather read something. There's people that would rather watch something. There's people that would rather listen to a short, snappy clip on a podcast,
Yeah.
as opposed to just presenting it one way.
Right.
And I think that for a lot of entrepreneurs, it can get discouraging when they share a link to something and it doesn't generate the engagement, the results that they want it to. And my question is, if you're sharing a link on a platform like Instagram, for example, where not everything is automatically clickable,
Mm,
you are missing out
yeah.
on engaging with audiences that would absorb that content a different way. So in repurposing things, you're giving them new information
Yeah.
in a wide variety of ways that will also help it stick in their minds, because audiences need to see something between 7 to 10 times before it really sticks.
Right.
And you sharing a link 10 times is not going to cut it.
Right.
So that's why I focus on, rip out the quotes, turn those into images, put in the video clips, put in the audiograms from your podcast interviews. This is how you reach people and remind them
Yeah.
of what you've done before, and also keep it relevant to current topics as well, right? Because there's things that we talk about on a daily basis that are still evergreen, even if it's a couple years old.
Right.
But reminding people allows you to reach different and new audiences, because everybody from your email newsletter to your Facebook group to your Twitter followers will absorb these things in
Right.
different ways. And cutting it down to bite-sized chunks makes it much easier for them to absorb, right? So
Yes.
it's not just about promotion, but how you choose to promote, when you choose to promote, where you promote it, and also keeping an eye on what type of content you're promoting. Because I would be much more inclined to listen to a 2-minute clip of very, very key points that someone's making
Yeah.
versus sitting there and listening to like a 30-minute interview right off the bat, particularly if I don't know that person, but the subject matter caught my eye, right?
Right.
So I definitely agree that, in an era of short attention spans, it's really about how do I continually stay consistently top of mind
Yeah.
by sharing content the right way.
Right. Absolutely. And you're even making my mind sort of popcorn right now, because I've got more content than probably anyone I know, because I've been doing this for 24 years, right? So the amount of content, videos and publications and blogs and podcasts and all of this stuff. And yet I honestly don't repurpose it at the level that I should be either, and I guess it all comes down to time. We're all balancing so many things, and it's really about deciding. I mean, I'm glad that I learned to do it myself, this piece of it that I'm talking about with my content.
Mhm.
But there comes a point where I have to start thinking about where I'm spending my time and what really is going to hit my bottom line. And I've recently been thinking about getting someone else to do that for me, to actually create the content that is shareable, that is bite-sized chunks, totally repurposed, because I have it. It just needs to be given a facelift, if you will. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you tell people, your number one piece of advice? What would you say to people who are right now sitting on a great idea, sitting on this magical book, sitting on this, I don't know, keynote that they've just created? What would you say to someone who is sitting on gold, but isn't sure what the next step is to make it big?
I would say look at what your goals are first and foremost, because you can't build a strategy if you don't even know where you want to go.
Mm,
So figure out where you want to go with it, then start to build a strategy. Do some research on, who's out there
mm,
that could be interested. And, there's nothing wrong with starting small and building your way up.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that we all have these big ideas and we get blocked, to the small little steps it will take to move the needle in a big way. And I think this, what you're talking about, is one of those that we feel like it's so scary and it's so big, but you've made it something that can be digestible, it can be applicable. And then you sit there supporting the whole process, which is really extraordinary. And I hope that people listening right now who are sitting on that big idea will reach out to you, because this is exactly what we all need to be able to move the needle the way that we should for these great projects and ideas. So I just think it's incredible what you're doing.
I appreciate that. It's my goal, because my biggest pet peeve is when people don't realize their own fullest potential
Yeah.
to the fullest, and also when they are giving up because they can't seem to find that personalized support that they actually
Mhm.
need. And,
Yep.
and for me, it's always been more about community than it has been about competition, because there is room for everyone's voice. You just have to find the right spot.
I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to transition into some speed round questions, and I'm just going to throw your way, and whatever comes to mind, give that answer. I just think it gives us all sort of a better idea of who you are. And so I'm going to throw the first one at you. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you were given an hour to sit on a park bench with your favorite woman from history, who would that be for you?
Honestly, I would love to have one more conversation with my favorite aunt,
Oh,
because she was a badass, and she was the second mom that I wanted.
oh, I lost my aunt this week, my favorite
Oh,
aunt.
I'm so sorry.
So that answer went straight to the heart. So thank you for that. I love that answer. Thank you. What's your favorite place that you've ever been to?
I would say Iceland. It is
Oh,
the most peaceful, tranquil trip I've ever been on, and I cannot wait to go back.
oh, I'm dying to go. I am dying to see Iceland. It just looks so magnificent. All that green and all of the just incredible scenery. Oh, I love that you went. If you were given $1 million to give to any nonprofit of your choice, who would that be for you?
I'd probably split it between two. I would give half of it to ALSBC, because that's what my aunt passed of.
Mm,
And the other half, I would give it to the Black Youth Helpline here in Canada, because I know that there are a lot of homeless youth out there, and it's definitely affecting people of color much more so. And I think that they could really use that funding to do some good.
beautiful, beautiful. I always like to be able to plug some of these nonprofits for people who are listening, because that's really close to my heart. And I lost another aunt to ALS, so it's
Mm.
interesting. Yeah, connections, connections. What is your favorite book or podcast?
I would say I've learned the most from Lewis Howes's School of Greatness, actually,
Cool.
because all of his guests focus on lessons that they've learned, building positive mindsets, and just different perspectives on how to see life. And all of the ones I've listened to, I've always taken a step back and gone, whoa, like this is the way to live life.
Love, love. Thank you for that. I'll go check it out. So, what's a quirky or wacky fact about you that not many people might know?
I'm a nerd. I love video games. I love graphic novels. I have useless bits of trivia rattling around in my brain in case we ever go to a trivia night and
Yeah.
win something. So that's kind of been like how I spend my downtime, is
Oh,
just playing games, reading the books, and just sort of hanging out with people that are into that.
yeah. Love it. Absolutely. If you could have a superpower, what would it be for you?
Probably telekinesis. That's one that I've coveted for most of my life, and being able to levitate items and even levitate myself would definitely cut down on commuting. That's for
Yes,
sure.
for sure. I just saw this post this morning on social media that said, what would your superpower be if you could choose one? And the second piece of this is, what would be the one thing that you would have to give up for that superpower every time you used it? And it was
Mhm.
really interesting to see some of the answers. One person said that they would want telekinesis. And then the someone responded and said, yes, but every time you move something, something else in your life moves right back to where it was. So it's
Hmm.
constantly moving your body, yourself, but then other things move out of place. So it was really kind of funny to think about that whole concept. So that's a good one. All right. What's your most treasured item that you have in your life?
I think I'd have to go a little bit sentimental here. It's probably the first gift my husband ever got me. He spent $2 for a claw machine and got out this yellow beagle puppy, a stuffed puppy.
Yeah.
And that is he is my talisman, my comfort animal. He travels on trips with us.
Yeah.
And it's the most meaningful gift that I
Oh,
think I've ever gotten from my husband. And it cost him $2.
that's cute. That's very, very sweet. Very sweet. So what would your theme song be if you are walking on stage and you've got 25,000 people there to see you, listen to you, learn from you? What would you walk on stage to?
Montel Jordan's This Is How We Do It.
Oh, nice. That's a great one. Excellent. What is one big thing that you want to accomplish in your career before all of this is done?
I would love to be able to empower my clients to get more distribution deals. And that is whether it's with publishing houses, whether it's with actual distribution for film. I want to see more of them reach that pinnacle and for them to reach more audiences, because that's why I got into this business, is to help them share their stories
Yeah,
far and wide.
love it. Absolutely love it. What is the best word to describe you?
I'd say tenacious.
Okay, great answer. That's a great answer. Here's the last one, and I want you to finish this sentence. When I'm really, really old, I hope to see.
More women recognizing their own strengths and power and being willing to go after what it is that they deserve, and being willing to beat down societal expectations in order to get there, because they all have that potential. It's just stop listening to the noise and
Yep.
believe in yourself.
Love. Absolutely love it. I have a feeling that people are going to want to reach out to you. So can you give us ways to reach you, maybe some information about anything coming up, links, social media, whatever it is? Why don't you drop that right now?
Sure. My website is in retrospect writingservices.com. You can find me on Twitter at lsue23, no spaces. And you can find me on Instagram at Lilian Sue, copywriter PR. And through there, you can find my marketing academy, the In Retrospect Marketing Academy, where I have my courses, and you can book coaching calls and everything else, and just see the sort of content that I share on a daily basis.
I love it. And follow her. She's got great information. She gives away lots and lots of applicable goodies in the moment. It's not like you have to, wait around for the goods. She is constantly giving out value. And I am always grateful for that. So before we go, I do want to thank our sponsor for the show, 100 Angels. 100 Angels does extraordinary things with families who have been hit hard financially. They are constantly making sure that medical care is provided, food, clothing, transportation services, translation, whatever is needed. They are always showing up to make sure that these families are taken care of and properly supported. So if you would like to look into 100 Angels further or support them, you can go to 100angels.org. And Lilian, before we go, I just want to give you a huge thank you. And I think you are an outstanding human being. And I'm glad that we somehow got into each other's universe. And every day, I notice you, I recognize you. And as you know, I notice when you're not there and I wonder, where's my pal? So I want you to know that I'm grateful that you spent some time with us today.
Oh, I was happy to do it. And anytime that, you want to have me back, I'd be happy to do it.
Great.
I love being able to empower as many women as possible to fulfill their full potentials. And as I've said to so many of them online, if you get stuck on anything, you have any questions, I'm always here.
Love it. Love, love, love it. And if you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me at jenbuckspeaks.com. And you know that I'm always available. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. And we will see you on the next show. Have a good one. Bye-bye.